there's things about like when something hits the front page and then when it's called quote unquote old news. And it's our job to kind of read the room, read the emotion of the fans, kind of know what people are thinking. And for a story to last, like for it to be kind of the lead deal that everyone's thinking about for 2 full days, that's big. That means it's really, really big. I don't know that this one isn't 3 days. I don't know that it's not 4 days. The 49ers play in 48 hours. The Warriors, even though there are good reasons, just got wildly embarrassed on back-to-back days. Carlos Rodon is being introduced, yet this is a two-bagger. Like, there is still so much more to say and feel about what just happened with the San Francisco Giants and Carlos Correa. And I think the reason is not because of just what happened. I think that part it's kind of a 24-hour cycle for everyone to know it and go, okay, now we want to know what happened. But this feels like it's going to have such an intense ripple effect that is going to affect the organization for weeks, months, and years.
Yes.
That I'm nowhere near done with it yet.
And the Giants made it that way in part because they haven't done anything yet. Had they come out yesterday immediately and had something to say or held some kind of presser or anything, we could have digested that and kicked that around. And then today we're probably opening up with the Warriors.
We do have sound. We do have sound.
Oh.
We have sound from the San Francisco Giants. Here it is. All right, so.
Riveting.
React. What do you think about what Farhan just had to say?
I'm blown away,
okay.
First of all.
That changed your opinion on anything?
I completely understand. The Giants are in the right.
Crazy.
It is. RB24.
.com.
That's the promo code they're going to use to try and sign Michael Conforto. No, but the fact that they haven't said, like, that's what gets things through the news cycle so quickly now, right? It's, okay, here's the story. Here's everything to think about it. We get everything so quickly. Everybody talks about it. Everybody gets their takes. Okay, now what's the next thing? The takes haven't stopped on the Giants because we don't know what the hell happened.
Well, and there's this. And by the way,
digging their grave.
Yeah, so 888-957-9570. If you haven't gotten your thoughts, your take off, we took so many calls yesterday, but not done yet. Mike Silver is going to join us in 24 minutes. It's not going to be 3 full hours of you yelling about Correa, but that can be, I don't know, 2.5. Like, give us a call. We would love to be your platform for your venting. You can also do it on the Xfinity mobile text line. Hello, Twitch and YouTube, and especially hello, YouTube, because you're back. We're back. Yesterday, what a crappy day to lose out on YouTube. The whole stream was down. Come on, YouTube. What are you doing? But anyway, got that thing all figured out. And so those of you who are watching, consuming, and commenting there, good morning, and thank you so much for being here. This made me laugh. So Tom Verducci, right? Sports Illustrated. You sent this to me in the middle of the day yesterday. And it looks like the link is like, okay, inside the story of what happened with Carlos Correa.
Full disclosure, I sent it prior to reading.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, here's the deal. One of these Verducci Sports Illustrated, like, all right, I'm going to click on that when I've got a good 27 minutes to sit down and read through it. So when I did, I clicked on it, and then I scrolled one time, and there was Verducci's name. In other words, it's like 3 paragraphs. The inside scoop is, yeah, he was there, and then they were like, hang on a second, and then they never called again, and he left. There's your inside scoop. Like, we still don't know a damn thing about what it was that percolated in their head, that freaked them out, which is only whether they like it or not and whether it's true or not. I hope you understand, Giants. If you want to hide behind the HIPAA, if you don't want to talk about this, then guess what? We get to just go ahead and make up our own damn story.
Correct.
And I know exactly what it feels like happened because your timeline doesn't work, And even if your timeline does work, we know that you're scared about an ankle injury that happened before his career started, and his career's been great to this point. So that's my very first and maybe even only question when we get to this mythical press conference that's never going to happen. You don't need to tell me what the injury is. You need to tell me why something scared you that he's been playing with for 8 years at an all-star level.
And explain the timeline. How did you just find out about this thing? And why did you offer this deal without having the full picture in a scenario where I make it make sense?
There's no explanation.
I also need to know the story I want almost as much as I want the inside story from the Giants' perspective is what's been going on over the last 24 hours over there at 3rd and King. What conversations are they having? Are they like, okay, pivot, Michael Conforto?
So,
or are they on social media? Are they aware of the reaction?
Yeah, they're aware. They're aware. That's their job. But their lack of awareness is stunning.
Yes.
Like, here's a visual.
Because it's their job.
Right. So here's a visual. And I texted you about this morning. And believe you me, blame goes to everybody, and I'm not here to take it from anyone. But here's a visual, because all I can do for a second is go, all right, I want to try to be in, let's say, Farhan's shoes yesterday. Mm-hmm. If I'm Farhan and Greg Johnson, I don't know who did what, but let's just, because you won't speak, we got to speculate. Greg Johnson says, you know what, Farhan, I'm not comfortable with this. $350 million, and we've got an ankle injury in 2014 that we feel could become chronic. And so I'm not comfortable with this. If I'm Farhan, I look at my boss and I go, hey, boss, do you want to fire me now or tomorrow? Because if you don't call Scott Boras back and we don't do this deal, I'm dead.
Yes.
There's not a damn thing I can say to the public.
Yep.
There is nothing I can do if we renege on Carlos Correa. What does Greg Johnson say to him at that point? Sorry, buddy. Comes with the territory. Can't fire me. I own the damn joint.
Yeah.
Is that because if I'm Farhan, I'm throwing a chair off the wall in the office.
And he might have.
Going, you have to go through with this press conference because if you don't, you might as well pink slip me right here today. I can't survive this. No matter if I'm right, wrong, an innocent bystander, doesn't matter. How are you going to help me survive this? So that's a visual that went through my head as we try to guess what happened. And if Farhan didn't do that, then again, a stunning lack of awareness in terms of how the fan base is feeling, how the city is feeling, and gosh, I bet how the actual players on the team are feeling. If I'm Brandon Crawford, I'm like, what a joke. What a joke.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
You had guys
play 162 more games and get me out of here. This is ridiculous.
You had guys on social media actively recruiting players, like trying to get out there. And I'm sure there was stuff behind the scenes, phone calls made, texts sent. We had a whole conversation, or you and Dibs had a whole conversation about like who's the Giants guy, like who's getting on the horn to try and close this deal. So I'm sure some of that happened in the background. But you're right. What is this? Is Farhan saying things internally? Is he getting ready to quit because he's handcuffed to this extreme? Was he? There are so many questions that need to be answered here, and all of the answers point toward this going down the wrong road. I can't think of a thing they could say or do where we'd be like, "Oh, okay, this is good." No, this is. And I get Farhan has a job. He has to. Okay, his job now, if ownership pulled the plug, is to now pivot and try to put a winner on the field.
Go get other players. Yeah, but I'm not surprised that they want Michael Conforto, even though they've already got 27 left-handed outfielders. But okay, yeah, go get Michael Conforto. Maybe he's going to hit 30 home runs. Sure, he's a good baseball player if he plays, but super ironic that you do pass all of these other oft-injured players through their physicals, but not Carlos Correa. I get it. I mean, here's another visual. Let's say this press conference does happen. What would you ask? And how do you think they would answer it? There isn't a great answer. They can't answer a lot of the questions, yet it's amazing that they don't understand. You got to do it anyway.
I think a good first question is, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell?
Talk to us about this.
Well, I think, yes, the very first question is, can you please take us through your version of the events as they unfolded? Right?
Right.
And you can go ahead and hide behind I'm not going to tell you what the medical said, but you can take us through the timeline, and then that's going to open them up to 1,000 other questions.
And I think that's how you have to even phrase that question is like, don't need to know the medicals. Take us through the timeline.
I don't need to know the medicals, but I can ask for a timeline on the medicals. Mm-hmm. Again, are we to understand that something popped on the medical report that you didn't know about 2 weeks before? You didn't know about because Scott Boras, did everyone catch this? He literally said yesterday, everything had been furnished to the Giants. They saw this and they chose to negotiate with the player.
Yes.
So he made the statement that the Giants were aware of this and chose to enter negotiations and offer 13 years and $350 million and then use something that they already knew about to back out of the deal. And then, if you read between what Scott said, that is in black and white on the internet right now with quotation marks around it.
And then let's take that piece of information and let's take what Susan Slusser reported for the San Francisco Chronicle that morning, that they were awaiting the results of tests. What tests?
Right. And did you ever get them?
MRI results?
There's another. Did you ever get
X-ray results?
Did you ever get the results?
Were they good?
You don't need to tell me what. No, well, that's the now.
Oh, yeah.
Nope,
okay,
sorry.
no,
Don't
okay,
need. Can't answer that.
Okay, you're right. You can't.
Yeah. Did you get the results?
Right.
Are you still waiting?
Right. What testing? What takes that long?
It's so funny. Like, you know what just went through my head is
I got MRI results for me, not an athlete, FYI.
Right. Well, that's a funny thing. This is kind of like hotels who are like, we're booked. No, you're not.
Right.
You have a room up there.
Right.
It's like I just thought of Cam Newton. Remember when USC had to wait a year and a half for it to go for the infractions committee with the NCAA, and then there was a Cam Newton Auburn related infraction 2 weeks before? Whatever. They paid for expedited shipping. They got they're like, he's cleared. National championship games in 10 days.
Yes.
You're the Giants awaiting test results. Get expedited shipping.
Right.
Like,
right.
Whatever you're waiting for, you're the Giants. You can move to the front of the line.
But also, have that done. How are you waiting for that? Still the morning of the presser. This deal was announced days ago.
The man was here and he got dressed. He got dressed and ready for the press conference.
He was in his press conference.
Do you realize, like, I would love, and that's the other press conference I'd love to be at. I'm not going to because it's going to be in New York once he passes his physical today.
Which is today.
But I would love to be in the Carlos Correa press conference and dive into the emotions he was feeling when he got on that plane to leave San Francisco, potentially still in a suit. Mm-hmm. I hope for his sake he got into something more comfortable.
Maybe some joggers.
Before he headed to SFO.
He's got a gang of Lululemon joggers, right? Like just a stack of them.
For sure. Yeah, and some of them have those little electronic clickers inside and some don't. But anyway, right? Like, what are you feeling? What do you think? He had to be livid.
So that's what
livid, embarrassed.
The New York media
lost 35 mil.
New York media is going to ask. New York media will find out.
Do you know what, though? Will they? Because
I think so.
They'll ask, but they're going to ask it through the lens of we got you. Like, their focus is the Mets, not the train wreck of the Giants. If you even read, it's fascinating to go into a lot of the people who have written about this, from John Heyman to Jeff Passan, Verducci, Rosenthal. Like, a Giant fan keeps diving into these articles going, all right, tell me what went down. Right. And it's like 2 sentences, and then they're like, so Steve Cohen's got a big old thing, and he's now the guy that runs baseball. And Steve did this.
He was
and then
sipping martinis.
Steve did that. He's in Hawaii, and he had flip-flops on. And then he's on his 3rd drink, and it was the middle of the night, and he's got a whole ton of money. And the other owners all hate him because he's kind of the Joe Lake of a like, the article is 18 paragraphs, and only 2 of them are like, so the Giants totally messed this up. Now let's talk about Steve Cohen for the next hour.
Because nobody knows what the Giants did.
Right. And in New York, nobody cares. They've got Judge. They've got Correa. They've got Rodon. They've got Kodai Senga. They've got Brandon Nemo. And they've got the Warriors' dignity. They've got all of those things just in the last 3 weeks.
The 49ers need to play the Giants in round 1.
Totally.
The New York Giants and smoke them by 40. That has to happen. And even then, it won't make up for it.
Paul in San Jose. Mike Silver's coming on in 10 minutes. By the way, Mike Silver yesterday made some really interesting comments about Trey Lance. And so that's coming up in 10 minutes. Paul in San Jose, hey, you're on Willard and Dibs. That's Kyle who's in for Dibs. What are you doing, Paul?
Driving home from work.
Driving home from work. What do you do, Paul?
I work at a grocery store.
Oh.
Usually the night shift.
You're talking to two people who literally, if we weren't doing what we were doing, we'd be working at a grocery store.
I love grocery. I went to 2 grocery stores last night.
We're 2 of the only men on the planet who go to the grocery store on purpose, like 3 times a day. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, I was talking to one of my friends and tell him congratulations on the Giants getting Correa. And then on Tuesday, I heard that he wasn't going to do his press conference. And so then on Wednesday, I was talking to my friend at work, and I go, "Hey, congratulations! What happened to Correa?" And he's with the Mets now. I said, "That's awesome." And I said, because I'm a huge Mets fan, my license plate says MTS fan. But I just want to know, are the Giants and the A's going to be the same, where they're going to not sign anyone big or let people go?
You know what? The comparison gets made a lot. Paul, thanks so much, and congratulations on every player in the history of ever and all of your money. So that's wonderful. But the A's-Giants thing, the comparison happens a lot. For me, there's actually only one thread because they're not being run the same. The A's are actually doing a good job of drafting, and then they give them away. The Giants have not gone through the process. I don't know if they will someday. We'll see. Luciano comes up, he's a star, and then they're like, too expensive. See you later. I doubt that, but that would be the A's process. The Giants' process is very different. As I called them yesterday, they are risk-averse. They love to get into the fray. The A's don't even get into the fray. The Giants get into the fray and then bumble the whole thing once they're in there, seemingly repeatedly, or make an effort to finish second because they want to feel, it's almost like imposter syndrome, like want to feel like we're one of the big boys, but they don't actually have the wherewithal to follow through with that so far. The only thread that I see is inept ownership. It's inept ownership that is focused way more on their own bottom line than the experience their fans are having. And I'm not expecting any business owner to make it all about their customers. However, I always find it incredibly short-sighted when a business doesn't want happy customers because that's a reinvestment in your business.
That's what Joe Lacob understands.
Right.
And that's one of the kind of underlying bigger picture subplots here is The Athletic. There was a story that MLB owners hate Steve Cohen because he spends his money. And we've heard that same thing about Joe Lacob and the Warriors and how they're trying to redo the rules so the Warriors can't spend all this money.
Brian Windhorst will switch over to baseball if the Mets win the World Series this year just to do a live hit at Citi Field so he can say, this is a checkbook championship. Because it will be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't take offense when he said it about the Warriors, and I don't think a Mets fan would take offense. Now, baseball, it's hard. You can't just put the Mets, give them the World Series now. Like, baseball is different. But that's the point of owning a team should be to try and win.
Right.
And it appears, it's appeared across the bay, believe me, for a long time that
that's not
their
the goal.
baseball team does not want to win. And and this is why this stings so much and why this is lingering so much here on this side of the bay, is because it now appears the Giants are in that same bucket. After touting for the entire Farhan era of like, just wait for it.
Right.
Hang on, just wait for it.
Right.
Okay, here it comes. And then they got it. And then they went, oh, actually, that's not us.
You ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can? Leo DiCaprio?
One time.
One time. Okay, that's good. Because usually when I ask you the movie question, the answer is either no or huh?
Ask me about a Netflix Christmas movie and I got you, bro.
I was on Netflix last night, watched Christmas Chronicles with the kids for the 800th time. But it was just,
You watch a new Lindsay Lohan joint?
No.
Very good.
No. And I probably never will.
It's bad, but as Christmas movies go, you want it to suck.
Fair enough. But the reason I bring up Catch Me If You Can, the Leo DiCaprio, right, the fake check writing business basically that he built, is this is now, at least today, this is what the Giants feel like to me. Like, you're writing checks that you can't cash or you won't. You don't have it. It is a full imposter syndrome deal. You want to be living the high life and in the high rent district and tell everybody you're one of the big boys. And quite frankly, here's what's crazy. You are. Mm-hmm. You already are. The Giants are, we went through this a few weeks ago. They're a top 7 brand in baseball, there's no doubt. But brands can be driven into the ground.
Yes.
And so here you are. You're not the Penthouse. You're not the Yankees and Dodgers, but you're definitely in the next crew. You're definitely in the next group of teams. And that's what you were given. And you want to act like Penthouse, champagne, bottle service. But then when the check comes, you're always conveniently in the bathroom so that anybody else can pick that thing up.
Don't call me out like that.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's particular. It's an
like,
elite
let's
move.
See that waiter's coming over. Hey, you know what? I don't feel good.
Yeah,
but then you got to do the thing where you're like, hey, I don't, and you like kind of grab your stomach and you're like,
right, because that way you can stay in there for a while.
Meanwhile, I'm firing off tweets.
Checking scores. Yeah.